There is a question that haunts the mind of every hardworking man who feels like a stranger in his own house. Why am I working this hard for people who act like I don't exist? You are the one who wakes up when it's still dark. You are the one who deals with the stress of the boss and the weight of the market. And you are the one who makes sure every bill is paid on time. Yet, when you walk through that front door, the atmosphere doesn't warm up, it freezes. You're the victim of the residential ghosting. You've noticed that your wife has plenty of energy for her friends, her social media, and her hobbies, but the moment you ask for 5 minutes of her time, she's exhausted. You're witnessing a psychological extraction. She didn't lose her ability to connect. She just realized that she has already secured the lifestyle you provide, and she no longer feels the need to provide you with the emotional return on your investment. You're the victim of the provider's solitary confinement. While you are out there protecting her world, she is inside building a world that intentionally excludes you. You are being treated like a utility, like the electricity or the water, something that is expected to run 24/7 but is never thanked until it stops working. Today, we are exposing the loneliness of the top-tier provider. I'm going to show you why your bank account is full, but your soul is starving. If you don't watch this until the final second, you're choosing to be the man who spends his best years funding a life he isn't actually invited to enjoy. The most dangerous realization for a provider is when he looks at the woman he is supporting and realizes she isn't his partner. She is just a premium subscriber to his labor who doesn't even like the content anymore. Men, this channel is more than content. It's a brotherhood that exists for those who refuse to be controlled, distracted, or broken. My ex told me men today are too weak, too distracted, and too controlled to ever unite. I didn't argue. I decided to prove her wrong. Every man who subscribes is proof that discipline, self-respect, and strength still exist. If you stand for truth, self-control, and knowing your value as a real man, if you're here to sharpen your mindset and live with standards, subscribe and stay. Like this video and make your presence known in the comments. Let's see who's serious and is ready to prove doubters wrong, because after this video, you'll be reborn as a new man who has discovered himself and is ready to take back his manhood. Make sure to subscribe and stay ahead, because we're just getting started. We have to look at the biological toll of the unappreciated provider. You see, brothers, a man is designed to provide, but he is also biologically wired to be rewarded by the peace and loyalty of his home. When you provide the resources but receive hostility or silence in return, your brain enters a state of chronic survival stress. You are the victim of home-based cortisol spikes. Instead of your house being a place where your nervous system can reset, it becomes a place where you are constantly on guard, waiting for the next attitude or the next demand for money. You think you're being strong by just powering through the loneliness, but you're actually being physiologically liquidated. You cannot sustain a high-level mission when your sanctuary is actually a stress chamber. This leads us to the devaluation of the dollar. When a woman loses respect for you, she stops seeing your money as a result of your hard work and starts seeing it as a natural resource she is entitled to harvest. You are being psychologically objectified. You are no longer a man with feelings, dreams, and exhaustion. You are just a resource node that needs to keep producing.
I want to tell you about a man named Gregory. Gregory was a high-level architect, a man who built monuments for others but couldn't build a home for himself. He worked 60 hours a week to make sure his wife, Elena, had a designer life. He paid for the luxury vacations, the high-end SUV, and the social club memberships. Gregory thought he was winning because his neighbors were jealous of his life. But inside the house, Gregory was invisible. Elena would spend all day on her phone, and when Gregory came home, she would barely look up. If he tried to initiate a conversation, she would tell him he was boring or complaining too much. Gregory was the loser in this story because he believed provision is the same as leadership. He thought as long as the bills were paid, he was the king. He didn't see that Elena was using his resources to fund a secret life of emotional affairs with men she met at the social club, men who had time for her, because Gregory was too busy working to pay for her membership. Gregory was the victim of the provider's blind spot. He spent his 50s in a state of deep, silent despair, paying for a woman who was actively looking for his replacement. He eventually had a minor heart attack from the stress, and while he was in the hospital, Elena didn't stay by his side. She went to the social club because she needed to clear her head. Gregory lost his health and his prime years because he thought a provider was a man who gave money rather than a man who demanded respect. He failed because he ignored the respect deficit. He thought his bank account could buy a loyalty that his lack of boundaries had already lost. You have to recognize the social engineering of the martyr. Society tells you that a real man provides without complaint. They use your honor as a leash to keep you working for people who don't care about you. You are the victim of weaponized masculinity. Behavioral observations show that men who are guilt-tripped into providing for disrespectful women often suffer from the highest rates of silent depression. You are being socially gaslit into believing that your loneliness is just part of the job. It's not. It's a sign that your system is being hacked by a person who is taking the output but refusing to maintain the engine. The loser's loop is the man who thinks retirement will fix it. You think, once I stop working this hard, we'll finally be happy, but you are the victim of the utility sunset. Behavioral patterns suggest that if she doesn't like you while you're useful, she will absolutely despise you when you're just there. You are being psychologically anchored to a future that doesn't exist. You have to realize that the loneliness you feel in your living room is the truth, trying to tell you that you are the only one playing for the team. You are being spiritually drained by a woman who views your heart as an unnecessary complication to her lifestyle. If you are still convincing yourself that at least the kids have a nice house while you sit in a basement feeling like a stranger, you are committing paternal suicide. You need to understand the concept of the hostage provider. You aren't keeping the family together. You are teaching your sons that a man's only value is his wallet, and teaching your daughters that a man is a tool to be used and discarded. You're the victim of the legacy lie. While you're stressing over the bills, she is currently telling her friends how emotionally distant you are, ignoring the fact that you're distant because you're working to fund her lifestyle. You're witnessing a psychological disposal. She didn't stop feeling connected. She decided that her connection to your bank account was the only one that mattered. You're the victim of the domestic ghost. You think that having her body in the house is a win, but behavioral observations show that being alone in a crowd is the fastest way to a heart attack. Today, we are finishing the path to resource sovereignty. We are looking at the final psychological shifts, the financial reconnaissance, the emotional withdrawal, and the mastery of the king's peace. I'm going to show you why a man with $1,000 and a quiet mind is richer than a man with $1 million and a woman who hates him. If you don't watch this until the final second, you're choosing to be the man who pays for the lawyer that takes half of what you have left. The most powerful day of your life is the day you realize that your money is your freedom, and giving it to a woman who doesn't respect you is just buying your own chains. I know men with standards are here. If you value discipline, respect, and strength, subscribe, like, and comment. We have to talk about the sovereignty of the self-sufficient mind. You see, brothers, when you are the sole provider and the respect is gone, your money becomes a weapon of control used against you. She knows you won't leave because you've built too much. She uses your success as a cage. This is a resource capture. Behavioral observations suggest that when a man finally decides to stop buying her mood, his power returns instantly.
You are being neurologically liberated. The moment you realize that you are the source of the wealth, you realize that you hold all the cards. You're the victim of the provider's blindfold until the day you choose your own peace over her lifestyle. This leads us to the science of the strategic withdrawal. Most men try to talk it out. They try to ask, "What am I doing wrong?" This is a behavioral disaster. You are the victim of the validation trap. If she is cold while you are paying for everything, she is already telling you what is wrong. She doesn't value you. Behavioral patterns show that the only way to restore your frame is financial and emotional austerity. You must stop the extras. You must stop the surprises. You are being psychologically reset. By choosing to be alone in your mind, you are telling your subconscious that you are the primary asset. You are telling the world that your provision is a privilege, not a right. I want to tell you about a man named Anthony. Anthony was an engineer, a man who built systems for a living. He realized his marriage was a broken system. He was paying for the private schools, the vacations, and the high-end kitchen, but his wife, Vanessa, treated him like an annoying roommate. She was always busy with her social life, using the money Anthony made to impress people who didn't even like him. Anthony was the winner in this story because he chose the great audit. He didn't argue, he didn't ask for more time. He simply looked at the ROI, the return on investment. He realized he was getting 0% respect for 100% of the cost. He quietly separated his accounts. He moved to a smaller, high-end apartment closer to his work. He filed for divorce before she could find herself on his dime. Anthony won because he realized that his alone time was his wealth-building time. Within 2 years, Anthony had doubled his net worth because he wasn't stressed, he wasn't fighting, he wasn't paying for peace. He found a woman later who had her own career and respected his drive. He realized that the Vanessa he was saving was actually a parasite on his potential. He chose the reality of independence over the fantasy of a happy home. When Vanessa realized the bank of Anthony was closed, she tried to reconnect. Anthony didn't even pick up the phone. He won because he didn't save the marriage, he saved the man. He realized that a silent, clean apartment was a palace compared to a mansion full of resentment. You have to recognize the testosterone recovery of the free man. This is a biological fact. When a man is a resource victim, his body produces high levels of cortisol, which kills his drive and his health. You are the victim of economic castration. But the moment you remove the utility extraction, the moment you accept that you are better off alone than being used, your body begins to heal. Your energy returns. Your edge returns. You are being biologically reborn. Choosing to be alone isn't loneliness. It is strategic isolation for the purpose of rebuilding your empire. The winner's protocol is about the resource guardrail. You have to look at your life and realize that you are the engine. If the car refuses to be steered, you stop putting gas in it. You are the sovereign man. You recognize that being alone is the ultimate position of power because it means you're unleverageable. No one can threaten to leave you if you've already found peace in your own company. You are being hardened for greatness. Healing is the realization that your provision is your power, and you should only give it to those who treat you like a king. You are being reforged. You now know that paying for everything while feeling like nothing is a choice you no longer have to make. You are the master of your own psychology. You don't need a family that treats you like a fund. You need a mission that is pure and a soul that is respected. You are the sovereign man. You are the master of your own peace. You don't look back at the vampires who drained you. You look forward at the legacy you are building for yourself. So here is the smart question for the Brotherhood today. If you took every dollar you spend on a woman who doesn't respect you and invested it in your own health, your own business, and your own peace, Where would you be in 5 years compared to where you are now? I want to hear from the men who stopped the bleeding. How did your life change once you stopped being an ATM and started being a man? For the brothers who are still paying for disrespect, be honest. What is the one thing you are truly afraid of losing if you stop the payments? Is it the house or is it the image? Let's get the engagement up so we can support the brother who is currently working a double shift just to come home to a woman who won't even say hello. Your words might be the wake-up call he needs to finally value his own life. This channel is for men who are done blaming themselves for other people's choices. If that's you, don't leave as a spectator. Subscribe and stay ahead because we're just getting started. Support the message, speak in the comments, and stand with the men who choose clarity over confusion. I'll see you in the next one. Stay sharp, stay cold, stay in your power.